Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you with this week's kind of an update from around here. A few days ago I had the occasion to use my little utility trailer along with my new Jeep, and when I got it all hooked up and all that and tested the lights, I had nothing, absolutely nothing at all. So as a dutiful YouTuber, I went out on YouTube to try to find any kind of hints or tips or whatever, and honestly I probably watched 6 hours worth of how to fix your trailer light videos from all over the place. Some folks could actually speak English, and other folks were doing it in Russian and Hungarian and Espanol and all kinds of different things. But I was able to finally figure out what it is, and I have a kind of an aversion, I think, to electrical theory. I find it very confusing at times when I'm trying to work with electricity, with open circuits and closed circuits and shorted circuits and ground wires and green wires and white ones and black ones and blue ones that never seem to follow the same logical pattern. But anyway, I think I finally figured it out. So stick around, and I've got some other updates on what's going on with our whole house generator. So, as I said in the intro, I tried pretty much everything that was out there from a YouTube standpoint, hints and tips and all that. Some of them got extraordinarily involved, like how to replace the whole wiring harness and how to diagnose it with a multimeter, and you name it, there was a video on it. And I learned a few things about what's going on with open circuits and closed circuits and short circuits and all that kind of stuff. So when the weather finally cooperated and I could hook back up to the trailer and get up underneath it to see what was really going on, it was pretty simple. The ground wire has a little eye hook on it, and there's a stud that's in the frame, and there's supposed to be a nut on the top and a nut on the bottom, and there was no nut on the bottom, and it was just kind of flopping there. The ground wire wasn't really grounded to anything, it was just flopping. So I grabbed the right size nut and a wrench and put the ground wire back on there, tightened things up, and guess what? Every single one of the lights worked. The left turn, the right turn, the brake lights, the running lights. So I was pretty pleased with that kind of an outcome, that I didn't have to pay an electrician or something to come in and try to figure out what was going on there. It was a very simple loose ground wire, and it was very, very easy to fix, and I feel a whole lot better. So I spent some time cleaning the trailer all up, took off the old plywood sideboards, cut new ones to put in, got the deck stained, got the sideboards stained, and put everything all back together. Still needs a good washing down, and when I get the power washer out, I'll give it a good cleaning with that. So that was early this week that I was involved in that. The second thing was on the project list this week, because the weather was actually allowing me to do stuff outdoors, and it's not 95 in the shade and 106 feels like temperatures. So I decided it was time to do the regular biannual maintenance on my Generac whole house generator. So it's just a matter of changing the oil filter, the air filter, gapping the new spark plugs, putting them in, hitting the start button to see if it works. So started with that project. After getting the wasp nests out from the inside of the cabinet that's holding the thing together, I got it all done, did the oil change, did the air filter change, the oil change, the oil filter change, got the spark plugs in, and started it up. And it started right back up. Everything was great. I was just turning to put some tools away, and the thing shut right down. And I got an error code 1603. So, being a dutiful YouTuber like I am, I did a search on that and found that it's not good news. Generally means that that your valves need adjusting, or that your whole motor is just shot. And this thing's 10 years old, so I didn't want to mess with it anymore. We called the local Generac dealer and repair crew. The fella came out the next day, took a look at what was going on, tore it all apart, retraced all my steps, made sure that the spark plugs were gapped properly and all that, and tested it again. Nothing, still getting the same error. So he adjusted the valves, both on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, and the left-hand side, no compression at all, even after fiddling around with everything. So he just looked up and said, "Man, I'm sorry, but you're going to need a new motor." So we've had that Generac generator. It's a 20,000 kilowatt, and we've had it for just over 10 years now, and been doing routine maintenance on it. I may have slipped from, it's supposed to be like every 2 years, and it may have slipped 1 year here or there, but for the first 4 or 5 years it was under contract with the local Generac dealer, and they'd come out and do the maintenance work and all that. And then after that period ended, time-wise, it fell to me. So you can buy the update kit or the maintenance kits, and you get 2 quarts of oil and oil filter and air filter, a couple of spark plugs, and set of instructions and all that. So went through the whole thing this way. Well, 2 years ago when I did it, I ended up with another kind of an oddball error message, and called the maintenance guy from the local Generac dealer, and he came out and looked at it. And he said, "Oh, you just need a firmware update." So he updated the firmware, reset things. Everything was fine for that 2-year period. This time, it was like, "Hey, you're done." So, like I said, we've had this thing for 10 years. I think his history on it was about, according to the computer chip in there, was about 116 hours of total use. And I think that includes the weekly or bi-weekly test cycle that it runs on a scheduled basis, and it runs for like 15-20 minutes just to warm things up, keep things circulating. So 116 minutes that it was running in 10 years. And we had pretty close to $10,000 invested in this whole house Generac generator. Well, that turns out to be $83 an hour if you do the math there. So that's pretty expensive. I don't think in my career I ever made $83 an hour, but we'll have to see how that comes together. They sent us a quote on replacing the motor and doing whatever updates they needed to do, and it came out to $2,600. So my wife was insistent that we reinvest that kind of money back into that generator, just because of the times that we live in and the threats that that are potentially in our way with grid down situations and you name it, whatever's going on. And it's powered by natural gas. So I suspect that even if I wanted to buy a new one, it won't be too awful long that Uncle Joe is going to say, oh, you can't have a gas-powered, natural gas-powered generator at your house anymore. It can't pretty much do anything anymore with natural gas. So, just a question for you all: would you invest the additional $2,600 to do the repair and maintenance to buy a new one? It's about $15,000 fully installed, and so figuring, given the choice of either not having the generator, spending $2,600 to have the generator repaired with a new motor in it, or spending $12,000 to $15,000 on a whole house brand new one installed. So just wondering what you guys would do. Hey, this is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.